What is up, Flick fans, and welcome back to my channel. As promised, I am here today to talk about Avengers Endgame, but I am not alone, as Black Widow says in Infinity War. I'm joined by Madison, my lovely wife. Madison, how you doing? On YouTube at Keto Coleslaw. Keto with a K, Coleslaw with a K. I will link that in the description below if you like nutrition stuff and unboxings. And Madison, how are you today? Did you like the movie? Are you excited to talk about it?
Oh my god, that's so many questions. I did great. Work was great. Thanks for asking. Endgame was awesome, and I'm so excited to talk about it with you. I'm glad we can finally spoil.
Yes, that's one of the hard things about doing any kind of review, non-spoiler, because you can't dive into what worked, what didn't work about the movie. I'm a part of so many things. You can find all of these links in the description below. I have a podcast full spoilers. I did a special collab, see that on the screen right there, with this guy. What a fantastic YouTuber. That is fun. But today, this is my spoiler review on my channel, and we are going to dive into the ending. And what does it all mean for the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Ooh, what does everything mean? Madison, I'm so sorry. I got a little choked up. I am so pumped to get into this. Let's start at the beginning of the movie. We're going to start there.
The beginning of the end.
At the beginning of the end, basically, for these characters. And let's start out with that opening scene and how wonderfully executed. Something that I kind of predicted that it would start out with Hawkeye's family, but I didn't know it would be handled so well, and the music cues and the emotion behind it, and just how he turned around and looked and everybody was gone. What are your thoughts on that scene and just opening up the movie as a whole?
I think it really set the tone for the movie.
Yes.
You knew, like we all knew it was going to be really sad and depressing, but it just started there. It went there, you know what I mean? Like it just started very sad.
Yeah, it did. No, it did. And that's what I wanted from this film, right? I kind of knew that's where we were going to start out. And the movie picks up after that, kind of right into a month. I believe they said like 26 days within Infinity War, which is another thing that I'm
Hopefully that's right, so people don't
attack
you in the comment section.
I'm going to say within a month.
It was
I'm
definitely
probably
20
wrong.
Something.
Yeah, and we start out with Tony Stark. Now that transition with the music, I believe, was it Metallica, the music that was playing? I believe it was Metallica. Don't quote me on that. But seeing them play that game, him and Nebula, and that exchange, and what were your thoughts when she kind of sits Tony Stark up on the ship? Were you thinking he was dead?
I thought he was dead. I was like, what the? I was like, already?
Yeah.
I was like, it's too early. He's dead? That wasn't even like a nice death.
Yeah, well, those were my thoughts too, and I knew time travel was coming in at some point, so I'm like, are they going to go back in time and get old Tony Stark?
I know, that's why I was like,
yeah,
this is a really weird setup. But it's the way she laid him there, and she looked at him, and she's like,
like, is he dead already? No, he does die. We'll get into that.
Did he really get that skinny for the movie?
You know, I don't. I would say that a lot of that is. I don't think he got that skinny. I think a lot of that is motion capture, CGI, all of that stuff. But performance-wise, when he is not just mentally challenged, because we have seen Tony Stark that sounded horrible. Tony Stark trying to get through all of his emotions, but we've never seen him that physically challenged before. I think
you're physically challenged.
Thank you very much. Wow. Thank you for that. I was enamored with his performance at the beginning of the movie.
Really good.
And his conversation with Cap when Captain Marvel flies him back to Earth. What were your thoughts on that exchange and his kind of argument and falling flat to the ground in the midst of the argument? You kind of knew at that point Tony Stark is not well. He's in the deepest and darkest place he's ever been. What was your thought on the beginning of the movie with that part?
I think they did really well making him look really like malnourished, really sick. I mean, we even thought he was dead. That's how sick he looked. Yeah, I don't know if he passed out from just the malnourishment, or was it because of this argument and just all of the feelings he has, everything going through his head. I don't know. It could have been a combination, but yeah, he did. That was a really good performance.
It's great, and a lot of people were throwing out, could Robert Downey Jr. get nominated for an Oscar? Listen, I don't need Oscar nominations for this movie for it to be what it is in my mind. It is what it is because I love it so much, but my God, he's so good. All the performances in this movie, but we will talk about that. So then they get this plan, Tony Stark laying there. They're like, we're going to go kill Thanos. They go, they get there.
I couldn't believe, I was like, what? This is happening so quick. And then I was kind of sad because I was like, okay, this movie's 3 hours and this is happening in the first 20 minutes or so. I'm like, great.
Yeah, well, as slow as a lot of people say the first hour is, they do. A lot of people say the first hour is very slow.
I thought the whole 3 hours, like I was like, it's almost over.
Yeah. Well, I kind of disagree with it being slow. I think they kind of flew through. Oh, Tony Stark's back. They're here. They're doing this. Rocket. They're going on the journey. They're killing Thanos. Thor is should have whipped for the head. You know.
There wasn't that much time in actual space, like when him and Nebula were drifting.
Yes.
I thought we'd get more of the I don't know. They did well with it. I just thought we would have more time.
What do you want? You want a 4-hour movie?
Well, I mean, so it would feel like this greater thing when Captain Marvel came and rescued him,
which was great. A great.
It's still great.
Introduction.
I'm not gonna say that's a negative.
What were your thoughts on? Well, just as a whole, Captain Marvel. She wasn't in the movie very much, but did you like her more in this movie than you did Captain Marvel?
I thought she wasn't I thought she was going to be in the movie way more. Just because she is the strongest Avenger, right?
Yes.
I just don't know why I know she was helping other planets and all of that jazz, but I honestly thought we were going to get more of her in this movie. Because a lot of problems could have been solved with her.
And I think that's why they kept her away.
I know, but it's just
she's a trump card, and I think that's why they do what they do to Thor's character, because at the end when they're fighting Thanos, if Thor is full strength... And I believe physically he was full strength. Not the way he looked, but with the lightning powers and both hammers and whatnot. But I believe mentally he was still in that dark place. So if he would have been the Thor from Infinity War, I think that fight would have been over a lot quicker. But I don't want to skip that far ahead. I want to stay. Okay, I want to stay where we are now.
Yeah.
5 years later.
I know. I was like,
impression.
5?
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Yeah. That's the first thing I thought about was 5 years, maybe not 5 months. No, I said in my theories video, and I got a lot of things wrong, by the way. I didn't get a lot of things right, so don't sit here and think. I got Cap and the Hammer right. But I said in my theories video, I think they're going to skip a lot of time because Black Widow's hair in the trailers gave it away for me. All that hair growing out, I'm like, yeah, that's a lot of time. But it kind of picks back up to our heroes scattered. You have Thor doing his thing, playing the video games. Is Fat Thor. That's what everybody's saying.
Is he going to stay like that?
I don't think he'll stay like that. I think when we see him in Guardians 3, hopefully we will pick back up with him a bit more muscular, but maybe.
Because I was kind of thinking, now he is kind of taken Odin's place. And did you see his beard? Whenever he...
Good point.
Later on, when he put his whole suit on and all that, his beard was braided special, his hair was braided special. It's not Fat Thor, it was almost like a new reborn Thor.
Well, you know what? I'd be okay if he keeps the hair and the big beard.
I know, but I want his body back.
I want his... What is that supposed to mean? No, okay, I'm fine with that. Just give me a kind of new Thor, and I like the fact that he is kind of a new character now because he's not his standalone thing. He's going along with the Guardians on that adventure. Once again, skipping ahead, we need to come back.
Sorry.
Thor, no, it's not your fault. It's my fault. New Asgard on Earth, and Valkyrie. There we had Korg and Meek. Hey man, I loved seeing that. That was awesome. I anticipated Korg being there. He was there playing video games. Fortnite. The fact that Fortnite is going to be relevant in 5 years, I don't know if I buy that. But I did like the fact that they were sitting there playing games with each other. That was entertaining. That entire scene was great. And then you get Cap's scene with the people that had suffered loss. It was kind of reminiscent to me of Falcon's scene in was it Winter Soldier when he's talking to the veterans.
Yeah.
Cap is kind of taken up that he can help these people, and with what happens later on in the movie, I keep skipping. I'm gonna keep doing this. When he goes back in time and lives his entire life and whatnot, I believe that is the perfect. No, we will get into that. I believe that is the perfect representation of maybe that's how Cap was a hero. Through all of those years that we now do not know what happened. Maybe Cap was helping disabled veterans and talking to people who had been through war. Maybe that was his way to serve his country as opposed to being physical. But I really like that scene in the beginning. And, fun fact, one of the guys sitting there was a Russo brother, one of the directors of the movie. So I thought that was a really good inclusion, that entire scene. And then comes one thing in the movie that I think is going to bother a lot of people, and this is the introduction of Ant-Man. Did you know that the entire reason that Ant-Man joined the Avengers, the entire reason they went back into time, is because of a rat? The rat, did you think about that?
Oh, I know. I saw that.
The convenience of the rat just walking over started this entire thing. Now, it doesn't bother me that much, but someone did bring it up earlier today, and I was just like, oh, man, you know what? That's kind of like...
We're talking about people that have superpowers and can fly, and they're worried about a rat.
I know. It's suspension of disbelief.
Thank you. I can never remember what that's called.
Suspension of disbelief.
I always try to keep that in my head when I'm watching movies like this.
It's a talking raccoon. It's a giant green guy, so...
Exactly.
I can buy that. And there are a lot of things in this movie like that. But Ant-Man coming out, seeing his daughter 5 years later, that emotion of him scattering and looking around for her, what was going on in your mind during that scene?
I thought it was it like kind of like gave you that like feeling.
Yeah.
Like, oh, can you imagine like almost like waking up and seeing everyone's gone?
Horrifying.
And having no clue. It's kind of like Walking Dead.
A little bit. Yeah, all the time has passed.
It was very like Paul Rudd, I think, did really, really well. Yeah. And then I didn't think his daughter was going to be alive. I thought somebody like squatters were going to be in there. Yeah.
Well, I knew that they had cast an older version of his daughter, so I knew she was going to be alive. Which
so you see, you spoil things for yourself.
I know, but that's like casting news, and I love casting news.
I was like, that's sweet because he loves his daughter. So
I think this is Paul Rudd's best performance in the MCU. I think this movie.
He's good at being serious when he has to, and then he's just so his situational humor for me is
funny moments.
It is so funny.
Yes, funny moments. I love that, and I love seeing when they meet up with Professor Hulk in the diner, and that experience, that exchange was hilarious.
How'd you think Hulk looked?
I liked it. I thought it looked good. At the first scene. That diner scene, it was weird because it's like, this is Mark Ruffalo and the Hulk. It's odd. And the CGI, I was questioning a bit at that point, but as the movie went on, I thought it's way better than Infinity War when his head's sticking out of that robot.
I thought he
way
looked
better.
I thought he looked good. Like, he definitely looked better than a lot of movies. I think Thor, they put Thanos, they put a lot of work into him.
They did.
And I just feel like Hulk didn't have that same comparison.
No,
so he still looked good, don't get me wrong. Like, he looked
just
really
compared
good.
to Thanos.
Compared to Thanos, yeah.
The CGI on Thanos is remarkable.
It's insane.
It's insane. And then we kind of flash over to Black Widow going after Hawkeye, a.k.a. Ronan, who is doing this. And I thought this scene earlier on in the movie where he's fighting, he's in all of these countries killing people and kind of making up for the fact that he lost his family mercilessly.
Well, he was killing bad people, right?
Oh, yeah, he's killing bad people,
right.
But he was still, kind of brutally murdering people. I thought the fight scene where the camera's spinning around, that in itself is a movie I want to see, directed by the Russo brothers, just because the action was so well handled. What are your thoughts on Hawkeye's story at the beginning and what he was doing? Didn't even have a bow and arrow, he had a sword.
I thought it was awesome.
I did too.
I mean, I understand completely. He lost not just like one person from his family, his entire family. Yeah. And then you have
that's bad luck.
You have these criminals and these mobsters and all these horrible people that didn't get taken.
Yeah.
And they get to stay around while his loving, nice family is left behind. So, of course, I would take... I'm not going to say I wouldn't do the same thing.
Well, that's a great... I didn't look at it that way. I was just thinking, oh, he's just avenging his family by going out and killing people.
Well, no, that's what he said in the movie. He was like, oh, these people are maybe I just got it from that, but I swear he said that.
Probably, yeah.
Because I'm not that smart. How could I have gotten
No, that's great, though, because he is killing the people that undeservedly survived the snap... God, that's why you're here, Madison. That was great. No, so I love that. Love Professor Hulk. And then we kind of flipped to Tony Stark. He's on the farm. He's got the child, Pepper Potts. Tony Stark is a dad.
I don't know why I wasn't expecting that.
I love you 3000.
I when she came on the screen, I was like, oh.
Yeah, it was very sweet.
Oh.
Because
the actress was so little actress.
She was so cute. And she was such a good young actress. And I thought the end of the movie, the main end, was going to be Tony Stark getting married, not Tony Stark dying. Yeah, but I thought that was cute, and he's, living the life that he said in Civil War. Or was it Civil War? I can't remember which movie it was, but no, it was Age of Ultron, because he saw Hawkeye where he lived, kind of in the wooden house with in the woods and all this stuff. He's like, I want to live this life, and he was living that life. He had been living that life.
Does it go Age of Ultron, then Infinity War?
Age of Ultron, then Civil War, then Infinity War.
Okay.
And he was living the life that he wanted to live until... Go ahead.
I was going to say, in Infinity War, the beginning, remember he's talking to Pepper about... wanting a kid,
starting a family.
Yeah. What were they gonna name it? His crazy, your crazy uncle.
Not what they named it.
No, okay,
because it was a girl.
I was making sure. Okay.
No, that harkens back to that scene in Infinity War. But then he does it. He discovers time travel and incorporating Back to the Future and all of this stuff, and they hit on that a bit later. But I love what Pepper said in the movie is you're not going to be able to sleep. And you're not going to be able to keep doing what you're doing unless you do this and unless you save this people. Even though now you're happy and you have the daughter. And when I saw he had the daughter, I said, there's no way he's going to die. Because he's got the daughter, right? How'd you think of it?
He said he was going to sleep, and she said, yeah, but will you be able to rest?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
Oh.
I didn't think he was going to be the one that discovered the like solved the time traveling problem. I thought Shuri was gonna come.
Shuri,
sorry.
No, you're fine. She was
Siri.
She was snapped.
Siri?
She was snapped. Shuri was snapped.
No, she wasn't.
Yes, she was.
You're right, because she came in at the end.
She did.
This whole time, I was like, why didn't she just help? She's the smartest person on Earth.
Okoye was actually the one that survived from Wakanda.
You're right.
Yeah,
okay, I feel better now that... Okay.
That kind of solves that moment.
You fixed that for me.
Well, another moment that I loved during all of that when they were figuring stuff out is the taco scene with Paul Rudd when everything kept blowing away his tacos and War Machine lands and he's like, what's up, regular size man? I thought that was hilarious. His entire interactions with the Avengers when he first arrives, I think, is great. And thinking about it, the arrival of Ant-Man saved the day. How cool is that? Ant-Man played, as we expected, a vital role.
Yes.
The quantum realm in general with this entire thing. So the group of heroes that get together, we have to time travel. Each group has their mission.
Right.
So I have this written down here. Thor and Rocket go back to Thor the Dark World in 2013. Cap, Tony, Ant-Man, and Hulk go to New York in 2012, and then later on to the 1970s. War Machine and Nebula go to 2014 following Peter Quill, and then Clint and Nat, they split off in 2014, and they go to Vormir. So I want to hit on each of these really quick. First of all, which side mission was your favorite out of all four of those?
You go with yours first so I can think about it.
I loved the stuff in New York because... you know, I love Captain America, of course, but I love seeing the behind the scenes of all of the stuff that we saw in the first Avengers, and it was great and whatnot, but then we get, like, the side conversations, and Robert Redford's character from Winter Soldier coming in, and then Hail Hydra from Captain America. That elevator scene, my God. You know, some people may have seen that and said, what? I thought that took place in 2014, the Winter Soldier.
That's what I was thinking.
But that was just a callback to that, because... this is 2 years earlier, so he's in the elevator before anyone knows they're Hydra, right? Well, I guess they didn't know that then either, but you're further back, right? So he's in there, and he knows these guys are evil. In 2 years, they're going to come out as evil. I thought he's going to start beating them all up. Yeah. And that would have really been a harken back to that scene.
That's what he did in the other movie.
That's what he did in Winter Soldier. But instead, he just does the thing that I never thought I would see Captain America do, even though it is kind of a joke. He says, Hail Hydra. And I'm like, oh, Captain America, pulling out all the stops. I loved it. And then the cap-on-cap fight and how he gets him to snap out of it as saying, Bucky's still alive. Boom, punch to the face. What were your thoughts on, before you give me your favorite side mission, what were your thoughts on the New York stuff?
I thought I liked it a lot because I also liked the one where, like you said, Robert Redford was there.
Yes.
And because I was thinking, look how easy it is for them to get these stones. I was like, is there going to be like a conflict? Are they going to have to try?
I didn't think there was going to be.
And then when Loki ended up getting the Tesseract, I was like, there we go.
Hulk runs out. This stare thing was hilarious. He goes, stairs, and then he bursts out.
That's me at work, literally.
He bursts out and knocks the entire plan out of place, and Loki disappears. So that is how Loki's getting away, and that's how Loki survives, because even though they undid all of that, Loki has the Tesseract, he's gone, and because he has the Tesseract, I think he survives the undoing of all of those events, and that's, I think, how we get to his TV show.
He's alive?
I think Loki's alive. Because he disappears. He's got a Infinity Stone, and even though they undo that...
They said just because you undo it doesn't affect the future.
Doesn't affect what changed about the Infinity Stone.
Just that line.
Yeah, so now Loki...
How do you even think of that stuff?
I don't know. I'm probably wrong. It's probably his TV show.
You're probably like so stupid.
His TV show is just probably going to be him in like Purgatory or something. I don't know. But that moment was great. Now, what was your favorite side mission?
Okay, my
was
favorite.
Was it New York or
I can't remember her name. It was when Hulk went to get the Time Stone.
Hulk went... Oh! Well, that was the same mission.
Her name?
That's the same mission, but the ancient one.
The ancient one, thank you.
Seeing Tilda Swinton return.
Because I was like, how is he going to get this from her? And then I was like, oh yeah, like, because Doctor Strange is my favorite.
Of course. Yeah.
But I was like, he did say, like, there's only one, like...
He holds that up at the end, one.
Yeah, and then when Hulk told her, like, then why did Strange give it away?
And she knew.
She's like, oh.
She's like, I didn't make a mistake. Therefore, he didn't make a mistake. Therefore, here you go. Boom, the Time Stone. And it showed us what she was doing during the first Avengers. She was there fighting, protecting
I noticed
the sanctuary.
that. I was like, oh.
Awesome. But that mission in New York was great.
So I guess mine was the same.
Yeah, yours is the same, but it's just still a nice side mission that I probably was going to forget about at some point. Thor and his mother, that entire sequence. Seeing Natalie Portman back was cool, but this kind of... And Thor: The Dark World is my least favorite Marvel movie. Spoilers for my ranking video. But that moment with his mother was beautiful. I love that. And I love how each side mission had a moment, whether it's Tony Stark and his dad, and we'll talk about that in a second, or Cap and his... Oh, goodness, his woman. Lord have mercy. And then Thor and his mother. And, of course, Rocket's on that mission as well. I love that. Well, what were your thoughts on that mission?
I feel like Tony Stark and his dad, that was the most emotional for me. I feel like that was more pulling at the heartstrings. Thor and his mother, like, it didn't get me as much, but I definitely think it was necessary for the movie because she completely set him up for being his own independent person.
Yes.
That's why he's joining Guardians. He doesn't feel the need that he has to rule the new Asgard. He gives it to someone else, and he says, like, for once in my life, I don't have to be what everyone wants me to be.
I thought that was great. And the fact that she's like, no, don't tell me my future, which, she...
I know, I was like,
gets killed after that.
Tell her.
See you later.
I'm glad that he didn't.
Even though all of that stuff is undone later on. And then one of the other missions is Clint and Nat and going to Vormir and the same music cues.
You knew what was going to happen.
I know.
I wasn't ready for that one.
No,
I was ready, but I wasn't, like... looking forward to that one.
You know that I knew what was going to happen.
Oh, is that the one that was spoiled?
Because some moron got my comment section, I banned him, I reported him, whatever, and literally spoiled Black Widow dying for me. And I had to report it because I didn't want anybody else to see that. And that didn't ruin the moment because I still thought the moment was beautiful. But as soon as they went to Vormir, I'm like, yep, we know who's winning this battle. And that was Black Widow. And I love the battle to the death to save the other person. Because you could tell that they care about each other and they love each other, and it was wonderful. And the entire interaction was glorious. How did you feel about her death? And using the same music cues from Infinity War, and the same shots, and the same moment where Hawkeye wakes up with the stone.
I will say, I honestly didn't think one individual was gonna die. I thought they were gonna jump off at the same time.
And somehow...
Yeah. That's what I was thinking the whole time. I was like, okay, they're both gonna go.
Yeah.
And they can't both be in the stone because the stone has to go to someone.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe they would be linked to each other forever or something like that in order to obtain the stone. But I thought it was very necessary the way they used the same scene as when Thanos gets the stone.
Yes.
As Hawkeye.
I completely agree. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was nice. It harkened back to the old... Using the exact same music... For me, I thought it sounded wonderful, and I loved the way they went about it. To me, it was kind of a Thanos score at that moment.
Maybe that's the song that Red Face.
No.
That Red Skull. That Red Skull uses. Maybe that's the soundtrack he plays every time someone new gets the Soul Stone.
Red Skull has a stereo up there, and every time somebody comes, it goes, oh, like it starts playing. All right, that's fine with me. I thought that was beautiful. Now the final one that I want to hit on, we're talking second hour of the film. I hope this review's not going on too long. Is you know I was going to say that. Nebula and War Machine following around Peter Quill, which I thought was hilarious because he's literally going, hey, like he's singing and walking around.
Yeah, it's so good. You're like, oh yeah, I love that song, I love that. And then just see him from the outside.
Like a doofus, like, and they just knock him out.
Yeah.
Go and get the stone. And then, Nebula's former Nebula is getting readings, and what a way to go about this. I love this.
I know.
Brilliant
I was
writing.
wondering how Thanos was going to play into this, and then I was like, oh, yeah. And it honestly makes sense. Like, they didn't just make it up. Like, they did a really good job thinking of that.
The amount of detail that goes into this movie, I don't think enough people are going to give it credit for, because they're going to say, oh, the time travel and all the nitpicks. That scene of how that played into each other and getting 2014 Thanos into 2019 I thought was brilliant. The stuff with Gamora I thought was great. You know, that's the point right before she turns, and she's at that point planning on getting back at Thanos, you know, and that's when she meets Peter Quill and whatnot. So you knew she was kind of going to come around to the good side. And then, of course, she spouts out in the future, and now they're going to be on the hunt for the new Gamora. That's later on, we're talking about right now. But I liked how Nebula replaced Nebula, goes in, very simple, and brings her father back. Now, I want to talk about when they all come back from their respective events that just took place. And the line that really got me was when Black Widow said, I'll see you in, what'd she say? I'll see you in 30 seconds, or I'll see you in 5 seconds, or whatever. And before they went, and then they get back, and She's dead. She's dead. The emotion on Hawkeye's face, you can tell Banner did not like that very much. Cap was crying. Tony Stark was wrecked, destroyed. What were your thoughts on just their reactions to this?
Yeah, it was very emotional.
Yeah.
I think I don't even have words because that scene really does get to you.
It does. It absolutely gets to me. And it was a phenomenal, just the way the Russos handled all of the emotion from all of the characters and the performances and literally everything. I loved it.
Were you crying over there?
No, I was trying to. That's why I had sunglasses on the whole time, just so you can see what I was doing. Now we move on to, I think, the most important thing the Hulk has ever done in the MCU. They have the stones. Put the gauntlet on the Hulk's hand because gamma radiation makes sense to me. This is the Hulk's purpose. I loved that.
I was thinking about it. You know how, like, Thanos had to get that special glove made by the same people that can make these impressive weapons that can kill gods and kill great people. That makes sense how he needed that.
Okay.
How do you think Tony Stark just made one from his own machinery? You know what I mean?
Man, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think by that point you could assume that he figured out how to hold those levels of power all across the universe, but that's a great point. Something
I
that
don't care that much,
That's
but I was just thinking, like, how Thanos... Because Thanos has technology, too.
It's true.
Why did he have to go through all the trouble of getting an actual special...
Gauntlet
made.
Made from Peter Dinklage's character.
Heart
of a dying star. No, that's a great point. But Hulk snaps his fingers. Hawkeye gets the call from his wife. Everything is not back to normal. I just banged the table really hard.
Yeah, you did.
Everything's not back to normal, but people...
Well, it is
I guess it is back to normal, but things start to go awry when Thanos just shoots that big old ship through that little old quantum realm. It's like, boo.
I love that scene when they drop that single, like, bomb, just the blue. He's looking up. He's like, oh, everything's back normal. He looks up. And it just comes out. And it goes, bloop.
Oh, crazy. First of all, how did Hawkeye survive that? How in the world?
Okay, I was thinking that too. I'm like, okay, you're human. Yeah, you're really, like, fast, but, like...
And Rocket, I guess, but...
Well, I feel like Rocket might be, like, a little more...
Yeah. I guess.
A little stronger, but, like, a human body like Hawkeye.
That's the point my brother brought up. He's like, how in the world did Hawkeye survive that? I'm like, okay, I guess suspension of disbelief. Once again, but our heroes get attacked. Thanos, he walks over. He's like, he's just down. He's like,
does his thing.
All right, y'all. This is 2014 Thanos. I know my future. I saw my future from Nebula's perspective, and I know I'm going to win this. So bring it on, like Mermaid Man and SpongeBob. Bring it on! We go to our three heroes from the wreckage: Tony Stark, Thor, big old Thor, both hammers, boom, boom, walking towards him, and Captain America.
Oh, God.
And they all walk towards Thanos, and they just start fighting. It's this big battle. It's the battle we've wanted to see for so long. And then we get to the point to where Thanos is just wrecking them. He's destroying them. Beats Cap up really, really bad. And Cap is standing there looking around. I'm sure I've missed things along the way.
Yeah, you probably have. It's okay. Keep going.
The best line of the movie, on your left. The callback... Well, the best line for me. The callback to... This is probably not the best line of the movie. The callback to Winter Soldier... and all of our heroes show... Now, did Cap have the hammer before that or after that? I believe, was it before that? I can't remember.
I think it was... Yeah, it had to be
before, right? Well,
I thought he was getting beat. He was getting beat up. Didn't he break? He got his
shield broken.
And didn't he just reach out for it?
Regardless, we'll talk about Cap and Hammer in just a second, because I'm going to get into it. But on your left, the portals open up. The heroes that have been...
just nostalgic.
Snapped.
Austin was over there just like, crying.
I geeked harder than I've ever geeked.
Actually, I
think Cap already had the hammer at that point, but we'll talk about it.
I think he did too.
I geeked harder than I've ever geeked in my entire life.
Is that a term?
It is now. I was very sweaty. Rest in peace, John Schnapp. But this was the most incredible thing. Being invested in this universe for so long and seeing all of these heroes on screen and just separate, never together like this, but here they're together. Doctor Strange, as soon as he got unsnapped, he's probably running around like, all right, I need you guys coming through this portal. I need you guys coming through this portal. And Spider-Man explains a little later, he's like, the wizard guy, come over and tell me and all this stuff. And they all come out. All of our heroes, not just all of our heroes. You got Valkyrie and the Asgardians. You have all of the everyone, all of the Doctor Stranges, they all come out, and Captain America, he's turning around, he's like, Avengers Assemble, and everybody's like, oh my God!
Yeah,
everybody in the theater is like,
ah!
lost their freaking minds. Now I want to talk about, prior to that probably, when everyone lost. When everybody lost, I think this was the loudest scream of the entire night when Cap, he's getting beaten up, he's getting broken down.
Yeah.
And I saw this coming. No, but I didn't see it actually happening. Like, in my mind, I said,
I think I remember you telling me this.
I did. In my mind, I said, if Captain America lifts Thor's hammer, I'm going to lose my mind. But they're not going to do that.
I was just surprised he got his hammer back. I didn't even think about him going back in time and he could get his hammer back.
He got his hammer back. They're not going to do that. I said this in my theories and speculation video. Cue that. And I believe how they get it back is when they go back into the past, they somehow get it from Thor or find it or retrieve it from somewhere. How cool would it be? Because we've always wanted to know, can Captain America, we know he can in the comics, but can Captain America pick up Mjolnir in the movies, wield it, and fight with it? That battle where all three of our heroes, we see it in the trailers, Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, when they are walking towards Thanos, is there possibly something that is CGI'd out of Captain America's hand? Imagine if he had his shield. But then imagine if in the other hand he was wielding Mjolnir and Thor was fighting with Stormbreaker while Cap was fighting with the OG hammer. I think fans would lose their minds, similar to when they did when Red Skull popped up in Infinity War. I would love to see him back, by the way. I think fans will freak out if, and hopefully when, Captain America picked up Thor's original hammer. Frank, I got a lot of things wrong in that video. It's like one thing I got right. But I just didn't see the Russo brothers managing to pull that off, and they pulled it off. And Cap was like, has he been in training with this hammer? Because he's like hitting his shield off of it.
He even spun it and flew.
Lightning,
I was like, okay.
Flying.
Yes, lightning and everything.
A match for me, for a Captain America fan, this is like Thor in Wakanda times like 4 or 5. This was the moment. This was the greatest cinematic moment in history for me. That's probably when I teared up most. Not the deaths, not the sadness. I was in heaven. It was amazing. And seeing that, I gotta go see the movie again just to relive that. It was incredible. I loved it. What are your thoughts on that? See, the entire fight.
Yeah, he literally puts his hand out and gets it, and I was going, oh my God.
I saw the hammer move up like, sorry, I don't know what I was doing. Go ahead.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really exciting. Because you'd already told me that anybody can pick up the Stormbreaker.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's what I think about Stormbreaker, because not anybody. It has to be like a strong being that can harness the power of the gods and the dying star, but Odin didn't bless Stormbreaker.
Yeah.
And the reason no one could pick up Mjolnir is because you have to be worthy. Odin did not bless Mjolnir, but you did see later on in the fight, right? Cap did have Stormbreaker. He was holding Stormbreaker. No, that's what I'm saying. So Odin didn't bless Stormbreaker, but does he need the blessing now? That's kind of confusing, but they don't need to establish that because nobody cares but me. So that's the thing. Like, it's not a big deal. But at one point, Thor has 2 hammers and they're fighting.
They're like throwing back and forth. He goes, no, give me that.
And it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my entire life. So then you have the big giant fight. What were some standouts of the giant fight scene at the end? The last hour. I gotta think about it. For me, it was...
Oh, I know.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I love when all the women get together.
You like that?
Yeah, and I was just like, yes!
For me, I like the idea behind it, but then it's like, where's everybody else at that moment? Why is it just women? Were they like, girl? I see what Marvel was doing, but from a brain standpoint, I'm like, where was everybody else? Like, why was it just women? But I see what they were doing, and it was really cool, and I think people are going to really get a lot out of that moment.
Another one. Spider-Man, was it stealth mode?
Was it death mode? Kill mode.
Kill mode?
Kill mode. He says activate kill mode. And it was just like, oh my God.
He goes, I don't need help. I don't need help. Okay, I need help. I need help.
And then they're dragging him down. I liked seeing Spider-Man jump on Valkyrie and her horse. I thought that was really cool. Something I never thought I would see.
horse or like a Pegasus?
It's probably like a Pegasus.
Is that
Valkyrie and her Pegasus.
Right?
Yeah, it's Pegasus. That sounds right.
Did it have a horn?
Flying horse in the horn. Maybe it was a unicorn. We don't know. But I saw Korg in the background. I saw Drax.
I know. I'm trying to think of everybody we
Doctor
saw.
Strange in the flood. He's like, okay, you guys got this over here, and I'm like, I needed something
and Doctor
to do.
Strange brought a lot of his
wizard buddies.
Yeah, I don't know what's called.
A lot of wizard buddies. That was really cool. The Asgardians fighting, I thought, was great. It was just all-out brawl and battle. Now, one thing I'll say about that scene is it's like, I want to focus on this battle, and I want to focus on these characters, and you're showing me this. It's like, but what do? If you're the Russo brothers, it's like, listen, we've given you this. Chill, Austin. They're looking at me and they're saying, chill. We've given you all of this.
Yeah, they came on screen and they said, Austin,
chill. And I'm like, all right, okay, you're giving me this. Sure, I never thought I'd see it on screen, whatever. And then Ant-Man punches the thing, and I'm just like, all right. Or Giant Man at that point.
Yeah, he comes out, he's like, boom. I laughed really hard.
I thought it was glorious madness.
And I love the Wakandan people.
Yeah, oh, of course, Black Panther. Black Panther and M'Baku and Shuri and Okoye. I mean, all of them. And Pepper Potts coming in with the rescue armor. How great was that? And she, same thing with Captain America. She's clearly training with how to use the armor because she's pretty good at it. A lot of things in that battle, I'm like, okay, they're a lot better than they should be, but I don't care. Give me more. It was incredible. It's one of the most epic and jam-packed, and yes, it is fan service. I said this in my review. Of course it's fan service. That's what we want. But it's fan service with emotion and heart and a purpose. It's fan service that we deserve. Anything else about the battles that stand out before we move on?
I'm ready to move on.
You ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got the battles, we've got the superheroes. Captain Marvel comes in, the guns point up. I'm like, oh no.
Honestly, is it bad that I was like, what are they pointing at?
No, I said the same thing.
I'm
like,
what is...
Please don't shoehorn a new character in here. Don't bring in the Silver Surfer. Oh, Marvel has the Fox rights back. Yeah.
Silver Surfer?
Well, he's part of Marvel now. And
what if he looked exactly like the one?
Fantastic Four.
Like that CGI was the same.
Okay, crossover. No, in comes Captain Marvel, and as a cheat code as should be, she comes in and just destroys the ship. That's why she was not there, because she can do things like that. And she comes in, does that, everybody's like, woo, we're gonna win. And Thanos, somehow, after the hot potato of the gauntlet the entire time.
I know, it was like, everyone's going,
almost snaps his fingers.
No, not almost.
Again. No, he didn't do it.
He did snap his fingers.
Well, later on, but he almost did it with the stones.
Yeah, he's like,
Captain Marvel stopped him. Other heroes are trying to stop him. And then, boom. But where are the stones? Right? Stones are gone.
Your pants.
I didn't want. They were very. I couldn't feel them at that point. My whole body was numb. I can never feel them. But Iron Man had the stones in his homemade gauntlet.
Homemade.
And you know, at that point, I said to myself,
I know. I was like, oh, here we go.
They're not gonna do it, are they? I knew he was gonna snap, and I knew they were gonna disappear.
I thought his nanotech was gonna
blow up or something like that.
No, I thought his nanotech was gonna keep him
save him.
Yeah.
And he snapped. Whole army dies. Thanos, I love his response too. He just sits down. Once again, Thanos in the sitting. He just sits down. And he's just like, "Dag." He couldn't finish the sentence because he disappeared. But I really liked.
I really didn't want him to disappear. I wanted them to kill him.
I really liked it. No, I thought it was very suiting that Iron Man be the one to kill him. Now, during that battle, we see Doctor Strange. Look at Iron Man. He does this, right?
Did you know?
So, oh yeah. At that point, I knew. I knew because he saved him from dying here to allow him to die here to save everyone else. So Doctor Strange, by saving him from dying, knew he was going to die eventually. And then he holds up that one, and sure enough, I'm like, daggone it. And then this, daggone it. And then you take a look at Tony Stark, you take a look at Iron Man, and the half of his body is charred. He looked like Two-Face.
Well, that's why I was like, okay, nanotech, like, you can do this.
Nanotech wasn't gonna stop that. He's a little, but you know, I love the moment at the end too when he dies. It wasn't everybody gathered around like, oh no! You know, you see Thor and Cap's face, and of course it's devastation. But it's Pepper, it's Rhodey, and it's Peter. That's who was gathered around. And I thought that was perfect because you got the mentor, you got the husband, you've got the best friend. That's what Tony was to those people, and they're gathered around. And I love how Pepper held it together more than Rhodey and Peter, because Pepper, I think her character arc in this movie was actually really good. She knew that he had a purpose to serve, and she understood that he was never going to get any sleep if he wouldn't have done that. And then he dies, and the line... Oh, by the way, we have to say...
I was going to say, I was waiting for you.
I am Iron Man. And as soon as he said I said,
was like,
daggone it. Daggone it. It was...
I've got chills. Look, I have chills just saying that.
It was amazing. It was spectacular. Everyone who has been with the MCU, I know I'm banging in the mic, is probably making noises. Everyone who has been with the MCU, yes, has stuck through it from beginning to end, and this really was the end, the culmination of everything. And
is that why it's called Endgame?
You're really smart there, baby. And, you know, he says what he said at the end of the first Iron Man. I am Iron Man. He dies. I guess we go straight to Tony's funeral and the heartbreak. But I love how they handled it, too. They went through each group of characters. Maybe they were part of their respective movies. Maybe it was the kid from Iron Man 3 standing there. A lot of people were like, who's that random little boy? That was the kid from Iron Man 3.
What kid?
Remember Iron Man 3 when the little boy helps him with his suit, and at the end of the movie he gives him back the suit? Ty Simpkins from Jurassic World, the really cute kid.
You guys have to watch it again.
Yeah, that's the kid. They
brought him. Who is that?
They brought him back for one day of shooting because that kid played an important role in Tony Stark's life and vice versa. And I loved seeing him there. Nick Fury in the background, not a line of dialogue.
But he got $15 million.
He did. Probably got a lot of money for that. But it was very suiting. And then I thought the conversation with Scarlet Witch and Hawkeye was really nice because Scarlet Witch and Hawkeye's relationship came a long way. He named his child after her brother, for goodness sake. So I liked that they added in that conversation. Their relationship in Age of Ultron was fantastic.
They both lost the most important person in their life.
They did.
I mean, not most important for Hawkeye,
Nat
but
was
at
very
the same
important
time.
to him.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
so
she lost Vision, so it was like they had that connection there.
She lost Vision and her brother. I mean, she's been through a lot. So, you know, even though they brought the characters back and they didn't have a ton of dialogue, Black Panther barely said a word.
That's okay. He doesn't have to.
He doesn't have to. It wasn't their movie. This was the movie for the original Avengers. I'm sure there will be another Avengers movie, maybe not for a while, maybe 8 or 10 years down the road.
Oh my!
With the new heroes, but they didn't need to say a lot because the moments within this film were moments that I think were perfection. And I hate to use that word, but they were brilliant. Now we get into, let's see, where are we? Okay.
That was the end of the movie.
That wasn't the end of the movie. There was one more thing that happened. Unfortunately, I was looking.
I was just pretending like it didn't.
I was looking around, and I'm like, can't believe Cap actually survived this movie.
I was thinking, too, I was like, oh my god.
Unreal. What are they going to do? Chris Evans?
Why'd you tweet that then, you stupid idiot? Why'd you do that, you jokester?
Moron. But, I think the Russo brothers got me. Because everybody thought Cap was going to die. And I said if he dies, he has to go out in the most heroic way possible. Do not give him a death that is lame.
I am Captain America.
You're a jerk.
I was just thinking about when he goes, that's America's ass.
Oh, I like that scene too.
Excuse me, language.
It's okay, America's ass. So we fast forward to, he has to go back. He has to put the stones
exactly
back.
When they took him.
Yeah, through time.
Okay.
Falcon and Winter Soldier's there. And when Falcon and Winter Soldier were standing there, I'm like, these are Tony Stark. These are Steve Rogers' best friends. They're here. Something's going to happen, but I didn't know what. Even though I should have known because it was very obvious.
Okay, I knew when he was going back. I knew.
But when he stepped up there, and something that Hulk said, I can't remember exactly what it was. It's like, all right, you're going to go, you're going to come back.
Take as much time as you need. Take as much 5 seconds to us.
Winter Soldier's face, if you look at Bucky's face, you can tell he knows something's about to happen. Like, he knows Cap is unhappy. And that hug that they shared earlier on in the film, I think that was a very good foreshadowing of what was about to happen, because this is the final moment between two best friends, or one of the final moments. We don't see the actual final moment, but then he goes and he doesn't come back, and you're like, oh crap. And I knew immediately. I'm sure the whole audience knew that he went back and lived his life with Peggy, but I didn't think they would actually.
What if he said marry someone else?
But I didn't think they'd actually show him when he was older, and then you go over to the bench, and it's old Captain America.
And it's really him. It's really Chris Evans.
It's Chris Evans.
At first, I didn't think. At first, I was like, oh, I wonder who they casted. And I was like, that's his eyes. I was like, that's him.
The CGI was brilliant.
You think it was CGI? I think it was.
I think it was a little bit of both. I think it was a little bit of makeup, a little bit of CGI. I don't think it was all makeup because.
I think it could have been. Look, they can do that.
Very possibly, but they made him skinnier too. His face was skinnier.
Was
so
it?
Yeah, so okay. I do think. Oh, I pay attention to my Chris Evans. I do think that they CGI'd. I mean, you could also tell a little bit of motion blur around his face, okay. But his old man voice, man, what an old man voice. Chris Evans with the best acting of his career, and he's playing an old dude. But what a beautiful way to end that character off. Oh my God! What were you going to say?
This is stupid. I was just thinking how he was in Fantastic Four.
Yeah, it wasn't Fantastic Four. That's what you were thinking of. And then Silver Surfer comes out and it's a conjoined universe. No, I love that moment because even though I thought that Captain America going out in a heroic battle would be the most epic thing ever, they proved...
This is so emotional. It was worse than that.
It was worse. They proved me wrong once again. This was the best way to send off Captain America because he got to live the life that Tony told him to live, that everyone has told him to live for so long. He got to do what he wanted to do, and he got to be with, as we see in the final scene of the movie, Peggy, his woman. They shared the final dance at the end of Captain America 1. Oh, I almost lied. But I knew the movie was ending, so I'm like, I can't cry now because everybody's going to see if I cry because the movie's about to be over.
Whatever.
But that moment with Peggy was remarkable because, you know, I owe this girl a dance. I had a dance. I had a date. And
no one's like that anymore.
No one's like that.
You're not like that. I hate you. I'm like Captain America.
I am not Captain America, but I think that was the most brilliant way to end the movie was with that dance because it really just...
It's full circle. Literally full circle from...
I am Iron Man. Well, that's... And then Captain America's dance. They actually got to dance and live a full life together. Now he's married, Black Widow, going out in a very heroic way.
Yeah.
All of these heroes. And now you look at Hulk. I mean, he's got a charred side of his body. What is he going to do? I guess he's Professor Hulk from now on because he can't really fight that well. We'll see what happens with his character, hopefully. And then Hawkeye returns to his family. Now, he does have a television show announced, and it's supposed to be he and Kate Bishop, who I thought was going to be in this movie. Turned out just to be his daughter. I was very wrong about that. But... the only one really remaining is Thor, and we saw that he goes back, he makes Valkyrie the Queen of Asgard now, which I thought was really cool, and he joins the Guardians. What are your thoughts on the possibility of Thor now being part of the Guardians of the Galaxy going forward?
I'm excited. That'd be really fun. Yes. He does really well with that group.
Yes.
And I love Quill and Thor. They're always trying to one-up each other.
Yes, and I think that dynamic is going to be awesome.
Was that the end when they were doing the map thing?
The map thing.
When Quill and Thor were arguing over who's captain.
I could watch an entire movie of that.
I was going to say, easily. I think that's just such a good duo.
And Thor really is a completely different character. I mean, his role as a whole in this movie, I could see how a lot of people don't like that. But I was texting my friend Chris earlier. Shout out to Chris. How you doing? He's the biggest Thor fan I've ever seen. And
bigger than your mom?
Bigger than my mom is a massive Thor fan as well. She didn't love what they did with the character, but she understood it because she said it was funny. Chris loved it. I think a lot of people who are massive Thor fans, they understand that he did what he did in Infinity War, and there really wasn't much more he could do. They had to nix his powers at the end of the movie. They had to nix Captain Marvel by making her be off doing something else. I understand why they made those decisions, but Thor joining the Guardians, really cool. Valkyrie on New Asgard, really cool. It showed all of our characters, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and really everyone went out. It did the Lord of the Rings thing where it has multiple endings, but it did not fade to black. It was beautiful. And I loved the end credits when they're showing off the beautiful visuals and everything. And no post-credit scenes, so I could make a video explaining the post-credit scene, but there wasn't one. But there is an audio cue at the end where Iron Man hits the armor, kind of just saying a nice look back on this entire universe or this entire build up with Iron Man as the first establishing and most prominent character in this franchise. Now, I want to talk nitpicks really quick. We're going to do good and bad. I want to start with, did you have any issues with this movie, whether it's the plot, the time travel, anything that you want to talk about?
I will say, I told you this when we got out of the movie. I just thought I thought there was going to be more of like, oh my, like, because Infinity War, we came out of there and we were like,
yes.
Minds just blown.
And that was a very fast-paced movie, and a lot happened.
And people were just like stumbling out of the theater. Yes. I thought it was going to be kind of similar to that. Don't get me wrong, like I really loved what they did with the film, and I'm definitely satisfied with it. I personally thought there was going to be more of that, like die, like more of that heartbreak.
Now there was heartbreak and there was emotion, and when the crazy things happen, like Cap and the Hammer, they happen and they happen big. But you're right, there was more in between moments.
It was
than the
more
actual big moments.
like nostalgic emotion versus heartbreak.
But you have to think about this, a 3-hour runtime, so they're going to spend more time with the characters and the moments and the dialogue and all of those things. Nitpicks for me, unless you have any more.
I can't think of any.
The time travel is something that I'm still kind of scratching my head. I know you go back and you change things, and Hulk said this in the movie, things that happened in the past don't necessarily change things in the future because they create alternate timelines, which kind of goes to my timeline theory, even though they all ended up in the same place at the end. I'm running out of breath. I am going to have to think more about the time travel.
I was going to say something about that.
Go ahead.
I was thinking because he says when you go back time, that becomes your present.
Yes.
The future becomes your past.
Yes.
That's why there's an alternate path. But knowing that, how does Captain America end up back with them? Is he not in he's definitely on an alternate path because he ends up with his
her.
woman.
Yet all that stuff still happened to get them to that moment. So, yeah, that is very confusing. That's
what I was kind of thinking. I don't know.
And I'm sure somebody has an explanation somewhere.
Tell us in the comments. I know you're going to.
And once again, it is a superhero movie with characters beyond our beliefs and things that happen that could never happen in real life. But things like this you have to at least talk about because there were things in there. Now, the time travel thing, one thing that I do want to hit on before we give our best moments.
Before we go, bye.
Yeah, I'll see you guys. Is the whole 5-year thing. Now, the Snap victims return 5 years later, but they're the same age as they were. You see Ant-Man's daughter, she's now 5 years older, but Ned from Homecoming comes back and he's still Ned. What about Peter's other classmates who did not get snapped?
Yeah, they should graduate.
They're 5 years older, so they're now in college. So is it conveniently, Ned and MJ, they got snapped, so they come back and they're the same age, but his other... I find something like that very convenient, as in you have to explain that in Spider-Man Far From Home is, we lost a lot of our classmates because they're now 5 years older than us, right? And now Ant-Man is, well, I guess Ant-Man is not, but his daughter is 5 years older and people that are still there are now 5 years older. It's a very difficult thing that is going to be explained. I'm sure a lot of families are going to be like, you used to be my younger sister and now you're my older sister and you used to be this and now you're that. You've aged 5 years and we used to be 5 years apart and we're married. Now we're 10 years apart. Now, like things like that, you have to think. Families are going to struggle with this. They really are, but...
Maybe they should go to counseling. Are you okay?
I'm sorry, but that is one of the side effects of a comic book movie when an event like this happens. It's a hard thing. The Russo brothers, they are geniuses, but it's hard to think of every possible situation. How do we explain that? I'm sure they thought of it. I'm sure they said, you know what, that's something that'll explain itself in another movie.
Or they're like, nobody will notice that. Maybe Austin Burke, but he probably won't.
Then they've never been on the internet. But those for me were really the moments that kind of like, but then again, I gave the movie a 100%. So it clearly didn't bother me that much. And my reasoning behind giving it 100% is, of course, it's not perfect. No movie is perfect. But when a movie hits you this hard and gives you this much emotion and gives you this much nostalgia, and you've been with these characters since 2008...
You always say you're not supposed to put emotion behind it.
I agree. But to pull this off with great direction, great acting, a great story, brain... I say Infinity War is the bronze. This is the brains. Brain, the concept, just thinking of this plot. How on God's green earth did they think of this plot? This was brilliant, guys. What a brilliant structure for a movie. And some people are going to look at it, and it's fine. If you were underwhelmed with Endgame, that's okay. If you didn't love the final battle, if you're not nostalgic for the characters, if you just watched Infinity War on Netflix last month, you're like, check out Endgame in theaters, you're not going to be as invested as we are.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you think people that don't watch any Marvel movies or have only seen a few, do you think they're going to have the same feelings about this movie?
No, not at all, but I think they're going to enjoy it. I think they'll get a lot out of it. I think the emotion will still hit them, but
I think
there's
they
no
won't
way.
Understand as much either.
They won't understand the callbacks. There's no way they'll feel the way that we felt. There's no way, because we've watched all of the movies multiple times. I've watched Winter Soldier and Civil War 30 plus times, and yet somehow this movie is my favorite movie in the MCU. I don't think there's a way in the world that they're going to feel the same way that we felt.
You just gave away your ranking video.
Oh, I did. No need to watch my ranking video.
This is a spoiler video.
I said the whole thing. So I just spoiled my ranking video. But those were the moments. I mean, that's it. That's the review, guys. We talked for forever. How long have we talked? A long time. Madison,
I'm sorry.
Any final thoughts? I tried to do this as smooth as possible.
Yes, I had a great time. I'm so glad that I got to see this movie and we got to see it with your family. I know your brother was super excited for this.
And that's another thing I want to hit on really quick. My brother actually joined me for a very short discussion earlier. I know this video is long enough already, but he wanted to give his thoughts, and he did a great job at it, by the way.
And he's cooler than you.
Yeah, you're probably right. I'm going to throw it over to us now. See you later. All right, like I said, I am here with my brethren, my little bro, Josh. How you doing, man? Did you like the movie, first off?
Yes, I did. Quite much so.
Quite much so.
Very good.
I'm excited to hear your thoughts on what you believe to be the best and worst moments. Give them a little rundown. And if you have a score, give the people your score of Avengers Endgame.
I will try to do that. I'm pretty sure it's going to be close to 100%, so if not 100%.
Okay, that's awesome, man. Well, I was going to ask your best and worst moments, so since you gave it that high of a score, what are your worst moments, or just nitpicks that you had with the movie? And this is spoiler talk, so you can talk about anything.
Well, trying to think of the worst moments for a movie like this is hard. To say the least. But like, if I had to choose one thing that like I would nitpick about, it's the time travel stuff.
Yeah.
Which they do poke fun at it, though. Like, they mention Back to the Future and like other time travel movies. So I was like, okay, well, since they're poking fun at it, I'm not going to think about it that much.
Well, yeah, and what Hulk has to say, or Professor Hulk has to say about the entire situation, he says that even if you change the past, the timeline splits off, and that's its own timeline. So, in a way, the time travel stuff is like, does it all make sense? Because of what happened and how they come forward to the future. But then in a way, you're like, all right, they kind of play or poke at the fact that it's all crap anyway, and they even kind of make fun of Back to the Future, which I found really funny, even though I love the movie. Now, Josh, and you have as much time as you want, what were your best parts of the movie? What were your favorite?
The best parts of this movie.
Moments.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I think we have to start with the obvious. When Captain America picked up Thor's hammer. And I actually have a little theory about this. You see, in Age of Ultron, all right? Okay. See, you're not the only Marvel nerd in here. In Age of Ultron, he's not able to quite pick up the hammer.
All right.
But in Civil War, when he tells Tony Stark the secret, the one thing holding it back, the one thing, like, because you got to be worthy. After he did that, he was worthy. One secret.
Dang, son. You like when Doctor Strange looks at Tony Stark and says, one. That's the one thing for Captain America that, man, that's a good point. I love that. So you love that moment, and I'm sure the entire battle sequence at the end. Were there any particular fights during that you want to talk about?
Oh my goodness. The team-ups and the fact that Ant-Man turned into the Giant Man and then punched the big alien
when
ship.
He punched
it, I was just like, okay, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Josh looked at me, he was like, oh my God.
I was like, is this real?
Yeah.
It's not. It's another reality.
When everything turns around and the portals start opening, that entire sequence was awesome. But of course you like the action. What were some moments, maybe humor, maybe moments between characters that you really enjoyed?
I really liked when Hawkeye and Black Widow went to, was it Vormir?
Vormir.
That was like, that hit me a lot harder than I feel like it would have if like, it's just their banter. Like, they're back and forth. It's like, I don't want you to die. No, I don't want you to die. And they just kept fighting over it. And then finally Black Widow said, it's my turn.
It's my turn.
It's my turn.
They were basically fighting over killing themselves for each other. That's the ultimate, like, sexual love story that I've ever seen. They genuinely loved each other, and I thought that was fantastic. Now, I'm sure I've already mentioned this in the other part of the review, but I was actually spoiled that Black Widow was going to die. Some little a-hole in the comment section commented that on one of my prior videos earlier on in the week. I saw something else, but I turned away immediately, but Black Widow I saw. So that moment when that was happening, I'm like, yeah, I knew who was going to win that battle.
Honestly, that really sucks for you because that moment impacted me so much. I was like, wow, I was not expecting to feel that much emotion over Black Widow. Because I'm like, I'm not the biggest Black Widow fan, but like that hit me hard.
Well, it made you realize how important of a character she was. And that moment, for me, was already super impactful, but I feel like I'm right there with you. It would have been way more impactful if I wouldn't have seen that coming. What was your favorite moment of humor in the movie?
Ooh, that's a tough one. There were a lot of moments of humor, but I think the best joke in the entire movie was when Iron Man first met Rocket Raccoon.
Oh,
and then
yeah. Build-A-Bear.
Is that a Build-A-Bear?
I didn't even think about that one.
That was by far my favorite joke.
Yeah.
That just made me laugh for like a solid 5 minutes, and the people in the audience were just like, "Man, the joke's over. You don't have to laugh anymore."
Well, that's great though, because those two have never met. You think all of these characters, they've met each other, but he's literally looking at this raccoon with all of his friends. He's like, what the heck is going on here? Like, is that a Build-A-Bear talking? I love that moment. Josh, is there anything else you want to talk about before you skedaddle?
There's so much more we could talk about,
There
but
is.
like,
Yeah.
we'd be here all day. Like, we'd be here for hours upon hours upon hours.
I know. I'm sure I've already warned that my review is already going to be so much longer than I
Lord.
think a lot of people want it to be, but anything else, man, any pulls you have, and how do you feel about the Marvel Universe as a whole at this point, since it's kind of come to an end, the first portion anyways?
I'm just very excited as to where they're going to go from here.
Yeah.
Because now you have Thor with the Guardians, you have Iron Man who's dead, which, by the way, Robert Downey Jr., that was his best performance.
I agree.
By far.
I agree.
Oscar worthy. Even for a blockbuster like this, it was phenomenal.
It was phenomenal.
It was great.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal performance at the end when he's super skinny, the way that he was portraying. I mean, it's a different level of Tony Stark. We've never seen that before. He's literally, physically at his weakest. And I love seeing that from his character. And there are just so many great characters and great moments in this movie that build on potential for the MCU. What is your most anticipated, before I let you go, what is your most anticipated Marvel movie going forward? Because we have the Eternals, we have the Black Widow movie, we have Guardians 3, we have Spider-Man Far From Home, Black Panther 2, Doctor Strange 2. What's your most anticipated? Shang-Chi? There are a lot of Marvel movies coming out. What's your most anticipated?
I have to say, it's probably Guardians of the Galaxy 3, because they got James Gunn back, and that is his franchise,
That's
man.
big, man. And the possibility of Thor being a team member.
It's like Thor Ragnarok and Guardians combined. I want to see that.
It's
right
going to
now.
be
Make it happen.
epic, man. I can't wait. Josh, thanks for joining me, baby. Where can the people find you on the internet?
At Little Burke 10.
He's a little Burke.
Instagram.
I'm Big Burke.
Twitter. I think I have a Facebook now.
Do you?
I think I do.
You do? Really?
Mom told me to get one.
That's our mom, because he's my brother. He's the best, but I'm the best looking.
I was adopted.
Oh, God. Oh, you did the little snap. I forgot to transition back. So here we are, guys. Thank you so much for watching this spoiler-filled video. We talked a lot.
So spoiled. So spoiling.
So much spoilers.
You're spoiled.
We hashed browned everything. It was a wonderful discussion. I want to thank my wife for joining me. Madison, thank you for giving your thoughts on the movie. I know that people love you. Some
Do
of them
they
don't
though?
love you.
Do
but
they?
We're gonna ignore them, guys. I'm sorry I geeked out so hard in this video. Let's end with you. Where can they find you online and do the things that?
I only have Instagram, and it's coleslaw6.
Oh, that's sweet. You should follow her on Instagram and her YouTube page, Keto Coleslaw, Keto with a K, Coleslaw with a K. Find her on there. She does unboxing videos and nutrition.
That's it?
And things like that. And you talk about low carb foods and keto diet. You should check her out. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. You are the absolute best. I'll be back with more Netflix and movie and Marvel and comic book and geeky things. You can check out those spoiler reviews that I was talking about. Get on my Letterboxd page, see all of my rankings.
He puts a lot of work into those people.
I do.
A lot of work.
I type reviews for like hours at a time.
He does. It's annoying. It's for you guys.
I love it.
And for himself.
But she still loves me. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hey now, and we will catch you very soon.